Rockets take care of the Hornets tonight. 105-101 the final. 35 points for Kevin Durant as we continue here on Rockets postgame. The Rockets, 9 guys played in tonight's game. The bench, a huge part of getting the Rockets this victory and starting the post-All-Star break portion of their schedule off on the right foot. Reed Sheppard and Dorian Finney-Smith, 2 huge parts of their fourth quarter effort. 13 for Reed, 8 for Dorian Finney-Smith. See, 23 minutes for DFS. That's the most minutes he's played in a Rockets uniform this season. A huge part of what they got done in the second quarter and obviously in the early portion of the fourth quarter. Big minutes again. That's been more of the regular thing for Jae'Sean Tate. 4 boards in 9 minutes for Clint Capella, as always doing his job. As we get to Calvin's Court, presented by Memorial Hermann. Rockets Orthopedics. Bench came up huge.
So often I talk about the importance. I don't like calling them the bench.
The reserves?
The reserves, because any given time, one of them could be a starter. But nevertheless, the players that come in as reserve or off the bench, whatever you want to call them, they are very important, especially when you're on the road. And when they come in, they must be aggressive enough. Obviously, you got to play the defense, but they got to give some numbers on the board. And this is what the Rockets players did tonight, especially when you start looking at Finney, who actually got the most minutes he's gotten, since he's been in the Rocket uniform. Guy came up with 8 big points, was able to play some nice defense out there on the floor where forced the Hornets to have to make some changes offensively. That was to the Rockets' advantage. Now, when you talk about babyface assassins, that's what I like calling my boy Reed Sheppard came out there, hit some big clutch baskets when the game got extremely close. I was talking to you about one of the things I want to see him do more of is besides taking his body and throwing it into a 7'1" player and scoring, the fact that he hit a couple of nice jumpers.
Yeah, find that spot inside the three-point line, outside the paint, where you can get a shot.
Stop and pop. He's quick enough to get the defense going in one direction, put on brakes, pull up, take a jump shot. I've made a living out of it.
He could make a living out of that as well.
Absolutely.
KD's made a living out of it.
Well, KD made a living doing everything.
He certainly has. He did almost everything tonight coming out of the All-Star break with a 35-point game. Rockets get the 4-point win. We'll get back out to Charlotte. Craig and Ryan with more on tonight's victory.
All right, thank you, fellas. Appreciate it. Rockets get a good win in their first game after the All-Star break against a Charlotte team that had won 10 of 11, a Charlotte team that beat them up, blew them out in Houston 2 weeks ago. And Charlotte, Ryan, started this game off just as hot as they were in Houston. Rockets, though, found a way to slow them down. Kevin Durant mentioned to Vanessa in his post-game interview that run in the second quarter is where they won this game. They also won this game because Kevin Durant had 35 and made every shot for the Rockets down the stretch.
Yeah, he was excellent, Craig. But for me, big picture is this season, the injuries have just been devastating. But what Coach Ime Udoka and the group in that locker room have had to do is other people have had to handle the basketball when Fred went out. And what Steven Adams does is he protects the rim and he creates extra opportunity. So what Houston had to do is be stingier on the defensive end, and they had to be more efficient offensively because those offensive rebounds weren't there. So guess what? You take care of the ball. You only have 11 turnovers. Defensively, without that rim protection, you force 15 steals. And we talk about being efficient. Seems like something little, but Houston's been on the other side. You shoot 92% from the free throw line. So on top of the good game from Durant, and you hold a team who's been red hot, although missing 2 players, to only 101 points on the night. That is huge. Yep. And again, that's the way that this group is going to have to win. And you see Ime Udoka preaching, hey, we got to defend. We're not going to be able to hit the glass as well. And I think they lost the glass or the second chance points tonight. But again, the difference is understanding how this group is going to succeed down the stretch.
And I'll stick with the theme that I mentioned at the very top of the show. I thought the three-point math had to be better for the Rockets here tonight. They were outscored by 27 points from the three-point line in Houston. The three-point math was a lot better. Now, Charlotte outscored the Rockets by 15 points from 3, but it wasn't 27 points. And they started off 7 of 14 and then finished, 7 of 28 from 3. So the Rockets, who are a very good defensive team against the 3, certainly locked in and challenged more shots as the game wore along and took them a little bit, the Hornets, that is, out of their comfort zone a little bit. The Rockets bench contributed. The Rockets haven't been getting a whole lot of consistent scoring from the bench, but a combined 28 points from Reed Sheppard, Jae'Sean Tate, and Dorian Finney-Smith. But again, I want to circle all of this back to Kevin Durant. what an incredible game. Night in and night out. 35 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 stocks. He scored the last 10 points for the Rockets in the last 3 minutes of the game. Every time they needed him to rise to the occasion, he did.
Well, you're right. He started the game offensively sharp. He normally works his way into the games fairly enough. He knew the leeway wouldn't be there. It was a game for payback. And then in that second quarter, the defense, he was the catalyst, getting the steal, pushing it, hits Jabari with the dunk. He was huge there. And, something we're going to look out for. We were all about the double big, and we still are. Make no mistake, okay? We love the double big. But Ime implemented the small lineup, and they forced 15 steals. The defense was there, and sometimes when you go small, you get stuck playing a lot of one-on-one. Kevin Durant's so dominant, you double team, that creates the action. Normally the 5 or Sengun creates the action, but Durant's so effective, you can go and give the spacing around him. You get a Min Thompson playing 5, he gets underneath the defense, and again, the ball movement was there. So that's something looking forward to see how much more that small ball lineup you're going to see in New York, how effective it can be. And again, I thought it was by far the difference in the ball game.
Well, the Rockets get a good win against a very good Charlotte team. Now 5 straight wins for the Rockets on the road again. They get their first win coming out of the All-Star break. Up next, they'll try to make it 2 straight in their first game this season against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. We will not have the game for you. We'll be back with you, and the Rockets come home to take on the Utah Jazz. So good luck to this team in New York against the Knicks as we go back to you, Adam and Calvin.
Thank you, Craig. As they noted, they will wrap up this short 2-game road trip with a trip to Madison Square Garden, and they'll be coming off a very hard-fought and impressive 105-101 victory. More of Rockets postgame here to come. A 105-101 victory for the Houston Rockets tonight, sending the Hornets to 26-30, pushing the Rockets to 34-20. It started early and it really never stopped. Kevin Durant, an unbelievable offensive effort again tonight, his 20th 30-plus point game of the season. And he had 10 early, Calvin, in that first quarter to, as he said, to really keep them in the game when it looked like the shooting of the Hornets might push them too far out. He was nails.
But that's what he's done his whole career. That's what he's supposed to do for the Rockets now. He is what you call the ace in the hole. When everything else is failing, you get the ball around to him, you spread the floor, and let him do what he does. Now, where is he getting the bulk of his scoring right now when needed? Middle distance. He's taking his long frame down there and just shooting over people.
Only had a couple of 3-point attempts, only made 2 of the 4, 16 2-point shot attempts, just like you're talking about, Calvin. And he was a 70% shooter tonight.
Now, you got to remember, in certain games, you can't be really concerned about the 3-point shot. You got to be concerned about getting something out of every possession. So whatever the defense gives you is what you've got to take. They were playing up for him, obviously, to take those threes. And what he was doing, he was using his frame to get inside the defense.
As he said, he's just looking at the rim when the defense is there on him. And obviously he's been doing it, like you said, his entire career, and no signs of slowing down now. Another All-Star appearance, and he comes out of the break with a 35-point game. The last 10 points for the Rockets. Of course, Vanessa Richardson caught up with him in the Rockets locker room after the game.
Kevin, what did you like the most just about the collective effort tonight from everybody?
I liked how we stayed poised after that first quarter. We tried a new defensive scheme for a little bit, and they got going. But we weathered the storm there in the second quarter. In the second quarter, had a 29-19 quarter. That was huge for us. And I just like how we stayed with it throughout the whole night.
Talk about the shot laid over Miller in the corner right in front of your bench.
I mean, it was just I didn't realize it's such a late clock. I looked up, I'm like, it's 5 seconds to go. So I just tried to get to one of my favorite spots. Was that Karl Malone area there is where we call it, where you just right outside the box area. So I just felt good there. Great contest though by them too, but I was just looking at the rim.
Coach has talked about a few times this year, started the fourth quarter, where they're going a little run and he has to get you back in earlier than he wants to. He was able to sit you for a long time. What did you see during that stretch?
I love that stretch, man. That's what won us the game is that stretch, because we came in and just gave the lead up quick, 5 3-pointer and one offensive rebound. So without that stretch in the fourth quarter, Alperen getting it going, Dorian hit a 3, Reed got it going. I don't think we won this game.
You had a particularly engaged start defensively. I think 3 blocks early. You pounded your chest after the first one. Was there some kind of thing of wanting to set a tone early in, right after the All-Star break?
Yeah, man, it's definitely. I think, like I said, we try some new stuff on the defensive side of the ball. So we're expecting the guys on the backside, me, Tari, Barry, to protect the rim, especially when our bigs are up in the pick and roll trapping. You trap like 3 guys in the first quarter every time. You know, that's tough to do as a team and scramble for each other when you got 3 guys you're trying to trap in the pick and roll. So we were there on the catch. Barry got one at the rim on a 7-3 center. I was able to get a couple, and Twin got some steals out of that too. So the backside was key for us. But overall, I think our activity was good, regardless of blocks and steals. I just think we were into the ball, playing physical.
And Coach talked about setting really solid screens throughout the game. How much can that be a weapon for y'all, especially when teams are defending him the way they have lately?
I thought Arman was great. I mean, he really could have been 6 for 8. Because every one of them threes he shot went in and out, you know what I'm saying? And I just like how he controlled the game. I mean, he 4 steals, you know what I'm saying, 3 offensive rebounds. I just think he was handing that ball off. I was able to get easy shots out of his screens. I just think he played an all-around game. And stat sheet will look a little bit better, but for the most part, he affected the game. I mean, like I said, I felt like those 3 threes, all of us said, that was in and out. You could have made those. So I like how he was aggressive to take them, but also, just playing patiently.
Kevin, you've been doing it for years, but icing the game at the line, do you relish those moments?
Most definitely. I mean, because there's no defense there. I don't have to jump. I don't got to stress too much, so I feel like I have to make those shots, supposed to make those shots. I hate myself for not shooting 95%, 96% from the free throw line throughout the whole season, So, especially what we up 2 points there. I don't want anything to happen besides us going home with a W, so I'd rather make those 2.
Thank you. Seeing that pull-up jumper, I think you hit it with about 40 seconds left to just beat the shot clock. What kind of goes through your mind when you're driving on that? Because you're so tall, you can get that shot off. What is kind of your mindset when you see that opportunity?
Not turn it over. Just get the ball up to the rim. I like when I can get into my shot. I feel like. If I get into my shot, it's going to be a good one most of the time, So I just try not to turn the ball over. Sometimes I think too much about turning over, and I turn it over, So I was aggressive to look to score, though. My mindset was like I'm trying to go get a basket instead of trying to make the play, So I think that's why I kept the ball in my hands and was able to knock down the shot.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Kevin Durant, 35 of the Rockets' 105, and all 10 of their final 10 drive home this victory, 105-101. The Rockets are 34-20. More of Rockets postgame on the way. Coming up for your Rockets, again, just 2 games on this road trip out of the All-Star break. They will be in New York taking on the Knicks, who got throttled tonight by the Pistons. That game, of course, at the Garden, national TV game there. Rockets will be back home at Toyota Center, where you will see us next. 8:30 home tip against the Utah Jazz. Of course, we will join you right here on Space City Home Network at 8 o'clock. They have a nice chunk, or not so nice chunk, of road games coming up. You see 4 of the next 6. They only have 8 road games remaining after that the rest of the season. It will tilt back into balance with them getting more games at Toyota Center here soon.
Well, I sure hope so. But the problem is having those away games back-to-back on the road can really damper your playing mentality. But what they're doing well is they're staying together on the court, especially like tonight defensively, and they're not worrying if they're playing at home or on the road. They're just sticking together and making things happen.
Interesting that Kevin mentioned they were doing some things a little bit differently defensively. You and I noticed that almost at the onset of the game. And
right.
Worked out for them, but defending at the rim the way they did. So New York on Saturday, then back here on Space City Home Network against the Utah Jazz. Kevin will be back in the saddle then. Enjoyed being with you tonight for the Hall of Famer Calvin Murphy. Adam Wexler here with you. Big win for the Rockets. They win at 105-101. Again, see you next against the Jazz on Monday night starting at 8 o'clock.